Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today, we are going to take a fully spoilerly look at Chapter 49 of Kaiju number 8, and the word that springs to mind is glorious. This chapter was essentially connective tissue, critical to the story, unavoidable, and fundamentally enjoyable. It's like chewing on the fatty bit in your steak. In the big picture, nothing huge changes from the end of chapter 48 to the end of chapter 49, and as usual, nothing is wasted, not a panel, not a movement. This was a tightly told story with no huge surprises, but several necessary revelations, or should I say, reminders. But before we get into all the juicy spoilers, I am going to give you a chance to click away and get yourself a copy of one of my books, something to tide you over until the next chapter comes out in 2 whole weeks. Anyway, Humans Are Weird, we took a vote, available from my website, and Humans Are Weird, I have the data. Monty Python meets Star Trek in this book of human absurdity. Now, Shinomiya! We finally get a good look at the man, the senior, the dad, the husband, the man. This chapter is a masterclass in how to use the expectations and perspective of the audience to drive the story forward. You see, we, the audience, know that Shinomiya is more than an officer in the Defense Force. We know that he's a loving father and was a devoted husband. We know that under the number 2 armor there is a man who loves and hurts and bleeds every bit as much as our adorably soft Kafka does. However, for the past 40-odd chapters since he was introduced in Kikoru's flashback, that is not how Matsumoto wanted us to look at him. For the sake of the story, for the sake of giving Kafka a realistic antagonist, we had to only see the officer, the cold, calculating commander of the Defense Force who, like it or not, was going to make the hard decisions about whether Kafka lived or dissected. I did a whole video about how Matsumoto hid the fact that Iso is really a handsome man with shadows and odd angles because as humans we naturally trust beautiful people, fair or not. Therefore, most visual media makes the heroes physically pleasing and the antagonists, especially villains, physically repulsive. Because Matsumoto needed us to see Iso as an antagonist at first, but needed us to bond with him gradually after the fact, we only saw him in harsh lights and angles that hid his beauty from us, but it was still there, and bit by bit, his inner and outer beauty was revealed to us. He loved his daughter. He was only that cold because of the trauma of losing his beloved wife. He was the kind of officer who was willing to not just risk his own life, but who would knowingly sacrifice years off the end of his life to ensure that any random soldier under his command got a chance at life if that soldier needed it. But through all this, we only got glimpses of this aspect of General Director Shinomiya, flashes of his beauty of both soul and body in moments of great danger or flashbacks. Every time the situation calmed down, his hair slicked back and he was once more the cold and calculating officer. That pattern holds true for most of this chapter, for all but the very last page, the very last panel. With a blow from Kaiju number 9, the hard officer's shell is shattered and blasted away from Iso's body and mind. In that moment, we see that him as nothing but a husband and a father, fighting to the last breath to protect his family and their happiness. His thoughts are not of complex politics and the possible military gains to be made by using a mysterious kaiju. The only thing on his mind is his wife Hikari, their little girl Kikoru, and their happiness. And the physical manifestation of that transformation is glorious. And look at him! Look at that beautiful man! The hair following over his face, the determination in his eyes, beauty, fire, mwah! Anyway, yeah, there were some other elements in the story, weren't they? The absolute heart-rending emotions of the second beat. You see, the chapter starts with a really great series of panels of Kafka using his real superpower, that of his situational awareness and rapid analysis and loads of life experience to warn the genius Captain Narumi of the danger that General Director Shinomiya is in. This isn't the main body. This is just a spare. It's a decoy. Kafka and Narumi realize at that moment that the main body is going after the General Director back at headquarters. We get to see Kafka's face first in his transformed kaiju form, as he dashes to the command tent. He is focused, he is determined, he is the hero of the story, off to rescue one of his comrades. Inspirational, uplifting, not terribly deep, something to boost the heart before Matsumoto wrenches it. In the next panel, with the look of pure terror in Captain Narumi's eyes, we've seen hints that there is a much deeper relationship between Captain Narumi and Daddy Shinomiya than just officer and commander. And you can just feel that in this image. Narumi is rushing to save someone that he loves. Then, oh mamma mia, and then we get 2 reaction panels of Kikoru. You get the one of the shocked beat that it takes her to figure out what's going on. She's a brawler after all, a powerhouse. She doesn't have either Narumi's genius or Kafka's life experience. And you see that long moment that it takes her to figure it out, and she just whispers, "Daddy," before darting off, and your heart breaks. And along with most of the windows from her, the essentially sonic boom of her bolting out of that cityscape. And it isn't just the main cast who get to shine. Screamy scientist guy got a little development and got to serve 2 or 3 critical purposes in the story, which is more than usual. He, of course, reacts to Kaiju number 9's appearance, and instead of shrieking like a little girl the way he does when he's in a relatively safe situation, he actually gets to show that he's got some guts himself, and he just quietly freaks out in a very professional way, even though he's way out of his depth. Then, Screamy Scientist Guy serves as the damsel in distress when Kaiju number 9 decides to force the combat issue by using Screamy Scientist Guy as target practice in order to force Iso's hand. This also serves to remind us that even without the number 2 weapon activated, Iso Shinomiya can literally react faster than a speeding bullet. Not just react, but actually move from point A to point B when our beautiful Director General dodges in front of Kaiju number 9's shot to take it on the Kaiju number 2 briefcase, using the Kaiju number 2 briefcase as a shield, Captain America style. So here's to the very useful Screamy Scientist Guy this episode. Now, the elephant in the room, Kaiju number 2. Sweet Chekhov guns all the complications of this. We know that Kaiju number 9 wants Big Daddy Shinomiya to put those gauntlets on. That is the whole point of this chapter. Number 9 is goading Iso Shinomiya. And that tells us a lot. Kaiju number 9's plan must require the compatible host to be physically connected to the desired weapon for what we assume is going to be Kaiju number 9's corruption to work. We know this because there are so many other ways this could have gone down. Kaiju number 9 could have just grabbed Iso and the number 2 weapon and escaped underground to somewhere more less dangerous to him. Kaiju number 9 could have severely injured Iso, even enough so to keep him docile, but no, whatever plans the sneaky fungus has, they require that the compatible host be alive, kicking, and seemingly willing to merge with the numbered kaiju weapon. The entire time I was reading this chapter, I kept screaming at the main cast, "No! You're just playing right into his greasy tentacles! Don't do it, Iso!" And yet, who am I kidding? I simply eat this dynamic up. As much as my inner voice is screaming at the characters to see what is going on and find a way around the evil plan, I know that the deliciously painful plot cannot progress unless they fall into the mechanizations of the brilliant villain. If they don't, there will be no story worth telling. So I writhe in agony as Kaiju number 9 smirks down at the puppets dancing to his commands. Iso will be taken. The power of Kaiju number 2 will be seized. Narumi and Kafka will arrive to find a rampaging Kaiju number 2 with a soft Iso Shinomiya core. And then what? There are 3 major options, and believe me, I'm going to do a full video just on them later, but it boils down to this. Narumi and Kafka arrive just in time to apparently save Iso, and the contamination becomes a long-term hidden issue. They arrive just in time to see Iso transform into Kaiju number 2 revived and put him down. Or they arrive to find Iso transformed, and Kafka uses Kaiju number 8's degeneration power to save Iso and put him out of the corruption. This will probably involve Narumi suggesting this, or Narumi observing that that's what Kaiju number 8 is doing. But however this plays out, it's going to take several chapters, and we are going to have so much fun watching it unfold. So what do you think? Is Matsumoto really going to just outright kill Iso Shinomiya? Oh, will we get to see ISO number 2 running around wrecking havoc? Where is the story going? Leave a comment below telling me what you think. Hit that like and subscribe button, and go get yourself a copy of Humans Are Weird. We took a vote to tide you over until chapter 50. Peace out, my wonderful viewers. Humans Are Weird. We took a vote, and Humans Are Weird. I have the data. 2 books in a series of human absurdity. Go check out these short story collections. What will our little green friends think of us when we finally do make it to space? Find out the answer in 2 books of human absurdity. Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote, and Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Google Play.